Just the very fact that slaves had names that slaveholders didn't know, and the naming practices among slaves which linked families together, even people in families had been long sold away, to make the point to those left behind that their relatives, though gone physically, spiritually were with them. That was a form of resistance. In a variety of very imaginative ways, African Americans resisted the institution of slavery and preserved their dignity as human beings.
A few, like the dissident preacher and slave Nat Turner of Southampton County, Virginia, took matters into their own hands. Claiming a commission from Jesus Christ, Turner led a bloody revolt on slaveholding whites that resulted in the death of 61 men, women, and children. The incident sent shockwaves through the neighboring white communities. It terrorized slave populations living as far away as Carolina, who justifiably feared the brutal retribution that ensued. Today, the historic portrayal of the Turner Revolt remains controversial with some historians who question the methods used in the reporting of the incident. As the century wore on and the national debate intensified, the small state of Delaware came to embody the middle ground between North and South, between slavery and freedom.
A number of rather remarkable things happened in Delaware. There were movements afoot that were challenging the institution of slavery. By 1810, only 24% of all African Americans in Delaware were still enslaved. So from 1775, when 95% of the African American population in Delaware was enslaved, suddenly it decreases to only 24% by 1810. It's because of this very strong abolitionist movement here in Delaware.
Both Pennsylvania and Delaware had been chartered by William Penn and heavily settled by members of a religious community known as the Society of Friends. The Quakers, as they were commonly called, harbored a religious contingent that had condemned the practice of slavery early on. Quaker worship services were called meetings, where men and women were encouraged to openly speak on issues of conscience. As early as 1776, the Philadelphia Yearly Meeting had directed all Delaware Quakers to free all of their slaves. It was part of a great awakening that included Methodists and other religious groups.
There was a belief that American colonists had lost their spirituality, and religious itinerant ministers traveled around this region preaching the gospel. As a part of that great awakening, more and more people began questioning the morality of slavery. Now, not every Quaker, not every Methodist, not every person held these strong beliefs, but there was enough, I believe, at this point to encourage their fellow church members, their fellow Delawareans, to question the morality of owning their fellow human beings.